So under the network edge devices, we have all these as a network edge devices. All right. Then when you go to the next component, right, you have end devices. In it, under the end devices, we usually go to the, let's say, these end devices, that is PC or laptop, or let's say it as a, at the maximum, a server we have taken. We have not explored other things also. Now, part of today, we may explore few other things also. Second thing. So second point is under the end devices, as a, let's say, whatever end devices we have, usually we have explored as of now only these three. Probably today we may explore or we may use a smartphone or something else also. We'll see. That is the second thing. The third thing is under the end devices, you have another component, or let's say it is a home component. So once you click on home component, you have few, let's say, devices or few home components which are displayed. Example, a air conditioner or a fan or a window or a door or a speaker. All right. There are a few devices which are listed here. Now we can use all these devices. Now again, all these devices are considered as IP enabled devices. So we may assign an IP to these devices and access these devices remotely. We may put some conditions also. Let's say when the webcam is on, let's say door has to be open, or when the window is open, fan has to be switched off, right? When the, let's say when the light is off, you can say fan has to be on, something like that. So we're going to put some conditions also while designing this. So that is the third thing I wanted you to notice. So under the home category, you have a few devices. All right, fine. No, sorry. Now, for today, first example, we take an example and we try to understand then and there the different, let's say, metrics, or let's say different uh, uh, titles which come there. We'll explore then and there. Right? So, part of my first simulation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a switch, right, a general switch, all right, which comes a generic switch which comes with a basic configuration. Then, so hope everyone are able to see my screen. Can someone quickly say yes? Can someone say yes? You're able to see the screen? Okay, fine. Okay. So now I took a switch. I took a generic switch. All right. Then I'm going for the, let's say it as a home devices. So in the home devices, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something called a door. All right. So this is one of the home device. It's a IoT enabled device. When we say IoT enabled, that is we can access these devices using a IP base. Right? We can access these devices using an IP base. One, I have taken a door. Probably, if you see, we'll also explore how this door works. Probably, let's not worry. First, let's choose the components. Then we are going to take a webcam. All right, we're going to take a webcam, and one more. Probably, we may take a window. Fine, and we may take a, let's say, one more component. Uh, let's take a fan. All right. So these are the four components. As of now, we are trying to explore. All right. Later, as we go further, we will try to explore more components, or let's say more devices. So first, to understand the different terminologies, we are going to use these four components. So to make it easy for me to understand, what I'm going to do is, instead of keeping it as an IoT 01 device, IoT 1 device, IoT 3 device, IoT 2 device, for me to easy to understand, I'm going to label this. I'm going to label this as a D as a door, probably, or you can say door. And I'm going to say, I'm going to label this as a webcam. WC is a webcam. All right. Then I'm going to label this as a fan, because it will be easy for me to recognize when I go configuring it. Sometimes I may get confused if I use the same terms IoT2, IoT1, IoT3. I may get confused while configuring it. So for easy to remember, we're going to rename this. So then we're going to say it as a W4 window. Right? So these are the four devices first. Now I want these four devices to be, or let's say, connected to a switch. Now, as I said, we can make these devices to be connected in a wired mode, and we can also make them to be connected in a wireless mode. All right. In this example, probably first example, let us connect them in a wired mode. In the second example for today, we will make the end devices to connect into a wireless mode. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a normal cable and I'm going to connect using this normal cable. I'm going to connect these devices back into the switch. So we have connected. Then I'm going to take a server. Maybe from server, I'll try to access all these devices. All right, remotely. Let's see. So I'm going to take the server and I'm going to connect the server to this devices also. Maybe the switch is not having ports. Let us add the ports to the switch. More port, let's get connected. Now we are going to connect the server. So we connected the server also. So this is the first step. So I've taken the end devices, we have renamed it for easy understanding, and we connected to this server, right? Fine. Now, as I said, every end devices will be recognized based on an IP, right? Let's assign an IP also. For IP, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign this as a 1.probably 2. I'm going to assign this as a 1.3, probably that is 192.168.1.3. This I'm going to take it as a 1.4. This I'm going to take it as a 1.5. This I'm going to take it as a probably 1.1. Right? Because as I said, even if it is a IoT enabled devices, or let's say when you say IoT enabled devices, all the end devices will be recognized using a IP address. So we can even say IP enabled devices. So I cannot take a general webcam and I cannot connect to this and assign the IP. There are some webcams general purpose also, but there are webcams available in the market with the IP enabled. Even the fan or let's say doors or whatever it is, there are components, smart components available in devices. Okay, let me configure that first. So I'm going to this window. Then I'm going to say configure. When I go to the configure, then I have the fast Ethernet interface. All right. So what I did, I went to the window. Then I went to the interface, fast Ethernet interface. That is this interface, and I'm going to assign the IP address. All right. Probably as I said, 192.168.1.2. Now we can even assign using a DHCP also, but as of now we are not using a DHCP. Probably in the next example, or as I said, wireless and DHCP both will use it. So this is the IP assigned for this. Then for this also similarly, we are going to assign the IP. We are going to say this is 192.168.1.3. We're going to assign 1.3 here. And I'm going to close this. Even these devices config. I'm going to assign 1.4. And I'm going to assign for the fan, let's say, I'm going to assign 1.4, oh, sorry, 1.5. And for the server, similarly, we're going to assign for the server saying that it is 1.1. And we don't have gateway, we have gateway as of now. We have not, sorry. We have not used any gateway as of now. So DNS also we are not using anything as of now. Let's not worry about it. So what did I do? In the second step, I've assigned the IP addresses for all the devices. I've assigned the IP addresses for all the end devices, right? Even including the server. Now I want these end devices to work as a IoT enabled device. All right. So that then they can communicate with the server or whatever it is. So for that, what we are doing is as a third step, I'm going to this window, whatever it is, all right, device, end device, and then I'm going something called we have sorry, I'm going to the server first step. Then under the services, you can see there are different services available here. Maybe HTTP, DHCP, DNS, right? At the end, there is one more service available here All right, that is IoT. Right? So we are trying to now connect these components, and we are trying to set some configuration for these components. So for that reason, we are going to make sure I'm going to accept these end devices to register. All right. So where do they register? Probably as a services, they register to the server. So that's what we are going to do it now. First, we are going to say it as a registration server. I'm going to enable the registration server. Now, this server is now available to register all your IoT devices. Right? So the moment you click on the registration server is on, which will allow or which will make this server to act as a server for all the IoT enabled devices. And they will go in the back and they will register also. So that's what we are trying to say here. One is the registration server is on. By setting this, which will allow the server to register all these devices, not only register all those devices, and also to configure, right, how these devices have to act. Right? We'll see. Now, as of now, we are just saying the registration server is on. Now, making this as a registration server is on does not make these devices to go and register it. I have to tell these people. Now, how do I tell these people saying that there is a registration server? Probably I'll go to this webcam, all right? Then look at this. Give me a second. All right. So no, sorry for that interruption. So I'm going to this webcam and I'm going to tell this webcam saying that probably initially we said this is the IP address assigned. All right. Got it? So usually when we go to the webcam, now we have assigned the IP addresses there, interface. Now I'm going to tell this webcam under the config mode, there is something called IoT server. You can see here, there is something called IoT server. All right. Now, where is that server available? Probably that server is available at this location, 1.1 or whatever it is. Right. You can see the server is available here. So I'm going to say it is a remote server. Right? Probably I'm going to say it as a server is available at 1.1. Right? Server is available at 1.1. It may ask you for a username and password. What we'll do is let's not assign the IP address. First, we'll go to the server when we'll create a profile, and then we'll come back. Let me go to the server. Right. So let me take the web browser. I'm trying to access that IoT server. Hopefully by this time they should have registered it. So I'm going to access using it as self IP. Now you can see here. So what I did, I went to the server through a browser. I'm trying to access the same service. Right? That is 192.168, whatever the service enabled. What service we have enabled as of now? As of now, we have enabled only registration server. That's why the moment I click 1.1, it is giving me the registration server page. Now, since it is first time we are trying to register in this server, let us click on sign up. So I'm going to create a profile now. Probably I'll say username is Vivek and password is also Vivek. I'm going to create. Now you can see there's a profile which is created. There's a profile which is created and registrations are ready now to accept or to get connected. Now, if you, as of now, no end device has been registered here. Right? Now we need to do this registration even at the end devices side. As I said, we'll go to the end device and we'll say there is a remote server available. The server is available at 1.1 and the username for that server to get connected is Vivek and Vivek. So I'm going to say get connect. Now, the moment I click on get connect, if you go back and see the registration server, there is a window which is get connected. For this server, the window has got connected. Now you can operate that window from here, maybe open or close. You can operate that remotely. All right. So now let's connect all the end devices. So I'm going for this door. I'm going to tell this door also there is a remote server available. Registration server is available there. Get it connected. So I'm going to say you you can even say, put a secured password also. Probably you can enable the other way also. That also I'll show you in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to say Vivek, and password is also Vivek as of now. I'm going to say get connected to the server, because there the registration page is is posted. All right. Now you can see to this server, the second device door is get connected. Right? You can see it can be locked, it can be unlocked. Right? When we say lock, it turns to a red. When I say unlock, it is going to turn to a green, whatever it is. That is what. I'm going to tell, because webcam and fan, we have not registered it. Sorry. I got one. Wait. So as of now, two components have been registered in the registration server. So third end devices also. All right. Now we're going to say there's a server posted at 1. Password is also Vivek. We're going to say connect. Fan also we're going to say server is hosted at remote server. Username is probably Vivek, and password is also Vivek. Get connect. Now I can see in the server page, all the 4 end devices have been registered. Right? Now that is the purpose of registration server. Now we have taken a server, right, and we have enabled the IoT service in this server. Right? Part of IoT service, what is that? Registration. It will allow the end devices to get connected and registered, so that in the server I can do some probably it is a conditions. I can set some conditions, or I can write a piece of code where define how these end devices has to work. All right. Now, as of now, if you see, that is the stuff we have done in the registration server. All these end devices got connected. All these end devices got connected. How did they connect? They connect using a registration remote server. Now, where is that remote server? Probably in the config. You can see it down. Let's not worry about home gateway and none. We'll come back to this. So now, as of now, server is remote server. So I have given that remote server IP, and we have got connected using a username and password. All right. So how did I create this username and password? When you create a profile in the registration server, you can create a username and password. All right. So when it is the first time. Now, if you see carefully, now all the 4 devices have got registered. Even fan, it has got registered. I can operate the fan from here. Probably, let's say it is in a high speed mode or in a low speed mode. I can operate the fan. You can operate a webcam also. All right. It should be, you can see webcam on or off. Right. That I can operate it here. So that is one. Then now let's set some conditions in this. Now, where I'm going to set conditions, how these devices have to work. Maybe I wanted to set a condition saying that when the window is, or let's say when the webcam is on, or let's say when the window or door is open, I wanted the webcam to be on, so that it will record who has entered in. All right. So when the door is open, probably I wanted the webcam to be on. Or there might be another condition. Example, the condition is when the window is open, I want the fan to be switched off mode. When the window is closed, I want the fan to be in a switch on mode. Right? So these are all the some conditions which we are going to set. Right? The moment I open a window, now the fan should be off. So that's what we call it as an Internet of Things. The devices has to communicate them. That's what we mean. How do they communicate? Probably at the back end, these devices have to go and register into a common gateway, or let's say in a registration server, so that from that server we put all those conditions and they work on. All right. So sometimes it's as like this. When the in the refrigerator, when the particular slot is empty, then the order has to go automatically. How the order has to go automatically? Probably in the registration server, I would have put a condition saying that if that particular slot, the X slot, it is empty, then the X has to be ordered automatically. Then I will say the request has to go to the shop. Right? So that's how these devices get connected or communicate. Right? So let's see one example. How do I make these devices talk? Right? So for that, we're going for the registration server. So let me access that registration server. So I can access the registration server using 1.1. All right, as we have created a profile. So the username and password is Vivek and Vivek. All right. So now, if you see on the top, there is something called conditions. You can set the conditions. And there is something called editor also. That's where you're going to write your piece of Python code or whatever it is. Right? But as I said, today we are not going to write any Python code. Let's go with the minimum conditions. Probably we say it as a control statements. Using a control statement itself, we can write this code. All right, not code. We can set these conditions. Let's see how I'm going to set or how we are going to set these conditions. So in the conditions, the first thing what I'm going to do is, so as of now, there was no conditions added. You can see actions, enabled, name, condition, actions, everything is empty down to that. Nothing is added. So now I'm going to add the first condition. What is that first condition I'm going to add? Probably I'm going to say add. So the moment I say add, it will pop up me what is the condition I wanted to add. Now, I'm going to, okay, just give me a minute before adding the conditions. Fan is on. We're going to switch off the fan. All right. We're going to switch off all the devices. All right. All the devices are off. So I'm going to go to the conditions. All right. So I'm going to set the first condition. So what is that first condition? I'm going to set the condition saying that name of the condition is fan should be on. When the fan should be on. Now we'll see. The condition name is fan should be on. Now I'm going to do that. So I'm going to select the end device. This is the reason why we have named it W door or WC or fan. If you don't name it, what will happen? It will display IoT1, IoT2, IoT3, IoT4. It might be confusing. If you have GUI in front of you, that is fine. But remotely identifying whether it is IoT1 or 2 might be confusing. That's the reason it is always best practice to rename the devices. So now I'm going to say fan should be on. When it should be on. Now I'm going to say window. All right. For the window. All right. Sorry. Fan. It should be status should be. All right. Let's say it can be high or low, whatever it is. We'll say high. Fan should be high. Sorry. Just give me a minute. Match when the window is on. Sorry. When the window is open. We're going to say then set fan status of the fan is off. So we'll rename it as a off, then we'll set it as a on. So this condition is for a off condition. So we're going to say when the fan should be off, when the window is on, that is true. In the sense, when the window is open, then the fan status should be off. We're going to say and. That is the first condition we have written. Now we'll add another condition saying that fan should be off. Sorry, we have written already for the off, I guess. We have to write for on. Right? When the window status on is false, that is when the window is closed. So when the window status that is on is false, that means it is closed, then the fan status should be high. That is the second condition we have written. We have written two conditions as of now. Right? The first condition, when the fan is when it should be off, when the window is on. All right. When the fan should be on, when the window is closed. But let's test this. All right. Okay. Sorry, I came over. So we have written those conditions, and let's test it from the home. Let me keep it this way so that you can also view it. So we're going to test it from the home, right? So what is the conditions we have written? We have written a condition for fan off and on. It should be off when the window is open. It should be on. Sorry, when the window is fan should be off when the window is open. Fan should be on when the window is closed. Right? Let's test it. So we're gonna check for the fan and window as of now. So I'm gonna make the window open. Now, sorry, window is okay. We have not set in that way. Okay. Uh, window fan is. Oh, just give me a minute. I think instead of window, you can take a. So this is webcam. Sorry, window is here. So when the window is fine, let us. Okay, by default it is on because window is closed. So that got confused with the webcam and window. So let's this we are not using now. So this is a window and this is a fan status. Now as of now window is closed. That's why fan is in on mode. When we say window is open, you can see fan is gonna turn off. When the window is closed, the fan will turn on. Right? So now you can observe when the window is open, fan is gonna be off. When the window is let's say it is a closed, fan is gonna be in a on mode, whatever the conditions we have written there. All right. So let's write one more condition in this example in this topology for the door and webcam. Now let's when the webcam or let's say when the door is open, we're gonna switch on the webcam. When the door is closed, we're gonna switch off the webcam. Right? I have a door, lock and unlock. Webcam, I have a on mode, whatever it is. So next condition we're gonna write is we're gonna write for the door open. Sorry, webcam on. When the webcam should be on, that is what we're gonna write. Match door. When the door status is open is true, right? When the door status is open is true, then we're gonna say webcam. It has to be on is true. So that's what we're gonna write. When the door status is open, and then the webcam should be on. That we're gonna add it. That is the one condition. Second condition we're gonna add is when the webcam should be off. When the door status is locked, sorry, open is false. When the door status open is false, all right, then webcam status should be false. Right? We have written for the webcam on and off. We have written we have connected to the door. When the webcam is on, so when it will be on, when the door is open. When it will be off, when the door is closed. Let's check that. So now for that, we're going to take the door and webcam. Now you can see when the door is, let's say, locked, webcam is off. When the door is unlocked, my webcam is not done. Okay, there's an unlock condition here. Let's edit that. So we're going to edit it. When the door is open, when the door lock is unlocked. The door lock is unlocked. Okay, let's set that. And the door is condition. All right. When the door is unlocked, now you can see webcam has turned. Now you can see webcam has turned to green. So the moment I click unlock, you can see the webcam is on in the back end. You can see even the light glowing here in the webcam. All right. So this is the first example I wanted to explain with the IoT components. One of the simple case studies. Now, any doubts in this before we go to the next example? Maybe in the wireless mode. Any doubt in this? So to repeat, what is that we have done? The steps here we have done. We have taken the IoT components, first step as a end devices. We made them to connect to the switch. Second, we took a registration server, or let's say a server, where all these components get registered, right? So once they register here, probably from remotely, I can set the commands or I can configure them. Now, all these end devices can be connected to the switch in a wired or wireless mode, right? If it is a wired, I'm going to take it as a switch. If it is a wireless mode, I'm going to take something as a home gateway or something, and I make them to get connected. That is the second step we have done. What is the third step we have done? We made IoT services enabled in the server, right? Registration services enabled in the server. Then we made all these devices to get connected to that particular server. So all these devices got connected to the particular registration server. So where did I enable the registration service? I went to IoT and I've enabled the registration service on. Right? So you can see one of the profile which is created here in the registration service. So then we made all these devices to get connected to these registration server. Right? That's what we did. All these end devices to get connected to this registration server. Once they connect, we have written some conditions so that they can communicate themselves and act accordingly. So that is the first example we have done. Any doubt in this before we go to the next example? If you have any doubts, any queries with respect to this, you can give me you can ask me in the chat box. Any doubt in this? If no doubt, can I go to the next example? Okay, fine. So for the next example, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to connect these end devices using a wireless mode. Look at this. So for the next example, I'm going to take some end devices. Probably this time, we'll take a fan. All right. We'll take a, let's say, something, we'll take a window. And we'll take a motion detector. And we'll also take a webcam. So if somebody will set some conditions here. Let's say. So we have taken these as an end device. Now, in the earlier case, we have taken the switch to get connected in a wired mode. Now, we are not taking any switch to get connected. I'm going to take something called home gateway, where it is available probably in the end network edges. Then you have something called wireless. Then you have something called home gateway. Look at this. I'm going to take the home gateway. Now, what is the home gateway? Which will allow me to register all my IoT enabled devices in a wireless mode, which will allow me, I repeat, to register or to get connected all my end devices in a wireless mode. That is a purpose of the home gateway. Right? So it acts as a gateway to push my end devices packets to the outside the network, or you can even take in that. See, as of now, these end devices have not connected, but to this. This is a wireless gateway. All right. So that's why you can see some antennas and whatever here. There's a wireless gateway. But by default, they have not got connected. There are multiple reasons for that. The reason is maybe these devices have to be saying that, boss, your Ethernet, now you are not going to connect using a Ethernet port, you have to connect using a wireless mode. That I have to tell these devices. Then only, okay, now I have to connect in a wireless mode. Right? It's as similar like you are using your LAN or Wi-Fi. Right? You go to the Wi-Fi and say connect. Then only it gets connected. Until you say go to the Wi-Fi and get connect, it will not get connected. That's something similar to that. So I need to tell these devices, boss, you guys are gonna connect in a wireless mode. Now, the moment I say wireless mode, they'll say, okay, we will get connected in a wireless mode. But to which wireless? There might be n number of wireless networks. All right. Example, if you see, if when you try to connect your laptop to a, let's say, hotspot, there might be a different hotspot available. There might be FET, there might be student profile, there might be guest, or there might be your name hotspot. There are n number of hotspots available. To which hotspot it has to be get connected, right? Usually, the name of those hotspots, technically, we'll call them it as a SSID. We call them it as a SSIDs. What is SSIDs? SSID is a wireless network name, right? Or let's say a gateway, home gateway, where they can go and get connected. Now, what will happen is this device, the home gateway, has to broadcast that SSID. As when I switch on my hotspot, I'm going to broadcast the name of my hotspot, right? Actually, technically, you call it as a SSID name. Right? You'll not call it as a hotspot name. You call it as a SSID name. The other devices will recognize that SSID name and try to get connected. When they get connected, the connection might be open or the connection might be a secured also. The connection might be open or secured also. Now, as I said, again, an example. You see, just take an example. I'm trying to host a hotspot, and there are four people who are trying to connect. Look at the scenarios. What are the possible scenarios? The first possible scenario is I'll host a hotspot and I'll make the connection mode as a open so that others can connect easily. No username and password. That is the first scenario. Second scenario, I make the hotspot, but I set some password. So others, what will they do? When they see my hotspot, they have to get connected using a password. That is the second scenario. The third scenario, I set the hotspot, all right, but I set this hotspot in a disabled mode. That means the name of this hotspot will not be broadcasted. The people who I communicate personally, saying that there is a hotspot available with this name, you try these details, then only you get connected. But when he search for the hotspot, it will not be displayed. I have to give him the configuration so that he will manually get connected. Hope you are trying to understand. When you try to connect to a hotspot in the college, there is a hotspot called admin. There is a hotspot called management, but it will never get displayed for you people because it is a hidden mode. People who knows about that network only get connected, right? That is what is happening now. The SSID is getting broadcasted or it is not getting broadcasted. You can set that in mode, right? Hope you're able to understand the scenarios what I'm trying to say here. All right. So similarly, now this fellow is trying to host a wireless network in the name of SSID. It might be broadcasted. It might not be also broadcasted. Right? If it is broadcasted, it might be an open connection. It might be a secured connection also. Right? So as of now, these people are not connected. As I said, all right. As I said, the reason I've not told this guy was you have to go in a wireless mode. Look at this. Now I'm going to tell this guy first up. I'm going to tell this guy in the config mode. Just click on the advanced. All right. Then you get a enable. These options you get enable IO configuration. Right. Click on input and output configuration, and then set the network adapter as a wireless. Right. The fourth one says it as a wireless. Let's not worry about the 3G and 4G. That will come back later. Right. So you have a wide mode that is Ethernet, fast Ethernet, and Giga Ethernet. Now we have a wireless mode. So I'm going to set into a wireless mode this device. All right. Now you can see the moment I set into wireless mode, this fellow has got connected to this hotspot. That means this fellow is broadcasting it, and this fellow has kept it open. That's why this fan has got connected. If this fellow is not broadcasting, it cannot be connected. If this fellow is broadcasting, but there is a password, this fellow cannot get connected automatically. All right. So we'll see those scenarios also, all those scenarios. All right. So now we're going to make this window also. We're going to say config. All right. So I'm going to go to the advanced mode, input and output, set to your wireless. Sorry. set to your wireless so that they get connected. You can see it should be, yeah. Now even for this, go to the config, go to the advanced mode, go to the IO, set to your wireless mode. It should get connected because this fellow is broadcasting and it is in an open mode. There's no password required as of now. So go to this, let's say config, advanced mode, IO, make it to the wireless. Now you can see all these people have got connected. All these people have got connected. Fine. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take one more end device. Probably I need to, this time we're going to take a smartphone. I'll connect the smartphone also to this home gateway, and I'll configure these devices as we did in the server. We can configure in a smartphone also. All right. So let's first connect this. We're going to say config. All right. So for smartphone, we're going to the config, and there is a wireless mode. All right. Just a second. Config. Look at this. So this phone, I'm going to the wireless mode. Now you can see the SSID for this. All right. It is default. So this phone is trying to connect to this. When it is trying to connect to this, we have to give the SSID of this gateway. Right? When you give the SSID of this gateway, then only it can get connected. If you don't give the SSID of this gateway, it will not get connected until then. So what we'll do, we'll copy the SSID of this home gateway. Now I'm going to the config, and wireless. Now you can see for this home gateway, the SSID is, the name of SSID is, it is home gateway. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to tell this smartphone, get connected to the home gateway. All right. And then I'm going to close it. Now it should get connected. Yeah. So using that SSID, this fellow got connected. Right? That's what we did as of now. Fine. So second step. Third step, now I need to access these devices in the phone. And then I need to set some configuration. So I'm going to tell this in this phone, right? So probably if you go to the phone in the desktop, now this time instead of either you can do from the browser, or you have another application or utility called IoT monitor. You can even monitor using this utility. You can using a browser, or you can do using this utility. Earlier we have done using a browser from the, let's say in the server, in the previous example. Let's do it from the IoT monitor. So I'm going to click on IoT monitor. Then it is going to ask me, all right, where is that registration server hosted? Now, as of now, the registration server is hosted by default in this home gateway, because this is a home gateway. The registration server is hosted here. So now I need to access this registration server. Now, how do I access? Probably I have to give the registration server address. For the home gateway, now let's see what is the address. If you see home gateway, all right, LAN, the address is 192.168.225.1. This is by default, it will be set. You can even modify this. Let's use the default one. So I'm going to use the default one to get connected in the smartphone. So I go to the smartphone, I go to the IoT monitor. So it is by default, let's say the same, whatever it is. And the default username and password to get connected is admin@admin. You can, once you log in, you can reset also. I'm going to say login. Once I log in, but there is no any end devices connected, or let's say IoT devices which are connected to this as of now, because we have not told those people to get connected to the home gateway as of now, because we have the IoT devices, but we have not told them to get connected to the IoT server or whatever hosted here. Now we're going to do that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to tell this fan, all right, in the config mode, I'm going to tell this fan, earlier it was remote server. Now get connected to the home gateway itself. You can see here, we are going to set it to the home gateway. All right. Now, even this, all the end devices, I'm going to tell them to get connected, register with the home gateway. All right. Now, this webcam, we're going to tell to register with the home gateway. Even the motion detector, we're going to tell register to the home gateway. So once they register to the home gateway, then only I can see here. Now you can see those are all getting enabled one by one because we made them to register to the home gateway. So all the 4 components have been listed here. All the 4 components have got listed here. Now you can even access, because this access we are doing from the smartphone. So now I can even say fan is high, so it is rotating high. Low, it is rotating in low speed. Off, it is not rotating. Even window, open and close. Webcam, on and off. And then you can set motion detector also. Motion detector usually works. There is no on and off here. It depends on how you want to access. If something is passed by this motion detector, then it will get on. All right. So how you make sure that something is passed? You have to press a control button, sorry, alt button, and move your cursor on top of the motion detector. Then it gets on. All right. Once you release it, after a particular few seconds, it gets off automatically. Again, you press a control button, sorry, alt button, and move the cursor on top of this device, it gets on. That's how it works, the motion detector. All right, it's not well. Okay, so that is one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set some conditions now. What is that conditions we're going to set? So we have got all the devices listed here, registered here. Now we're going to set some conditions. So what is that first condition I'm going to set is when the motion detector is on, the window has to be open. So one of the conditions, let's say in that case. So let's rename these devices so that easy to identify. Fan. Oh, there is already another fan available in the previous example. Let's say fan 1, and we're going to say window 1, and we're going to say webcam 1, and we're going to say motion detector 1. Let's add the conditions now. So I'm going to say window is on. Window is going to be on. For that, we're going to write the condition. When the window should be on, probably I'm going to say when motion detector is on, then window should be on. So you can see when the motion detector is on, then the window should be on. So we're going to write, we're going to add that condition. We're going to add another condition, window off or close, whatever it is. Close. So we're going to match window should be, or when the motion detector status is false, then the window status should be false. It should be closed. So we're going to write that condition. It's just a simple control statement, if and else or whatever it is. Right? So now we're going to the home. Just give me a second. Sir, I was in one class, sir. Shall I call you, sir? 2 minutes. Hello. Hello, sir. Just give me a minute. Huh? Sorry. Yes, I didn't switch off the mic. Sorry. So now, so we have set that conditions. So we set condition when the motion detector is on, the window should be on. Let's check that. So now I'm going to move the cursor ahead. If I move just like this cursor, it will not get activated. I have to press the Alt button, and then if I move, then only it gets activated. So look at this. I'm going to press Alt, then move. So now you can see window is open. Right? So again, after some time, window when the motion detector is off, the window gets closed. Right? So this is a condition we have written in the smartphone, or let's say using the home gateway, whatever it is. Right? So you can write the conditions for these devices, or you can take other end devices and you can write the conditions also. Right? You can write n number of conditions in this. You can keep adding the conditions. Or I can set when the motion detector is on, we just set only the webcam now. Sorry, window now. Now I can set even fan also. You can see here. So fan also on when it has to be on. So I'm gonna say when the motion detector is on, true, then the fan also should be status is high. I'm gonna add that. So again, fan off when it is. When the motion detector status is false, then the fan status is gonna be off. We're gonna add that. So now what has to be happen now when the motion detector gets on, two IoT enabled devices should be activated accordingly. Let's see. So one is fan, one is window, and motion detector. I'm going to move the cursor. See, sorry. I'm going to move the cursor. Now you can see both end devices have got activated. So again, when the motion detector is off, the end devices will get deactivated. Now what is happening once you do some configuration here? Now the devices are able to communicate themselves and they are able to act accordingly. That's what we say the power of IoT or whatever it is. Right? So with these two examples, we'll stop for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to give a bigger. I'm going to take more bigger complex, bigger topology, where we set up some 3G network, or where we set up some different environments, right? And we also use a little bit Python code, and we do one example. Right? So that we're going to do it in a tomorrow's class. So once we do that, once we complete in tomorrow's class, hopefully that 8th unit, I'm going to close it with that tomorrow's class, because it is only on the case studies. So any doubts as of now? Any doubts as of now? You can ask me in the chat box. Or can I ask randomly? Pawan, any doubts? And the last class recording I didn't share because there was a delay in the network. I didn't share. Today I'll share today's session as well as the last frame relay configuration also. Can you hear me, everyone? Praneeth says voice is breaking. Yeah, people are able to hear. Yeah, any doubts as of now? I'll be happy to take the doubts. If not, we'll close the session for today. Tomorrow we'll take another 2-3 topologies, and we'll finish the 8th unit tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna start the session at 8 o'clock and close the session at 10 o'clock because you have some other sessions after 10 o'clock. So that's the reason. I think you have some webinars or some placement regarding activity. So tomorrow we're going to start the session 8 o'clock. I'll try to close the session by 9:30 itself, so that you get another half an hour time to take a break and go for the another session. We'll try to complete early a simulation. Right? So if any doubts for today, you can ask me doubts. If there is no doubts further, thank you for joining. I'll share the session presentation. I'll share the session video. We'll meet in the next class, tomorrow's class. Right? So if everything is fine, okay. Then. Sir, is that a part of our project? Yes, probably your next assignment is going to be on 8th unit only. I'm going to give you some different test cases where I will ask you to design accordingly, and you need to configure with the multiple test cases. Right? That yes, Keshav, that is going to be part of your let's say 8th unit of case study project also. So I'm going to list out some different case studies. You have to configure or design accordingly. So any other doubts? So if no doubts, probably we'll end the session for today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining.